Hello and welcome back to the channel with me, the Orienteering Kid, where today we're in Royal Tunbridge Wells for day 1 of the A category of TORUS Season 3. Yes, we are here for the start of Season 3 of the TORUS Cup, which is the latest series organised by course setters from all around the world, giving you some high-level international Trello and can be found on the Tempo Simulator, the link to which can be found in the description of this video. Now, as most of you will know, we have an A and a B category for the TORUS Cup, and you will probably expect that I will be competing in the A category, as this is the advanced, but we also have the basic, or I like to call it beginner category, which is meant to have slightly easier competitions. I will be doing videos on both categories, but I will be prioritising the A category videos as these are the ones that I will be competing in. Today we are in Royal Tunbridge Wells with Tom Dobra as the organiser and Ian Phillips as the advisor. I have had the pleasure of getting to know Tom and Ian over the course of last year, being part of the British community, and so I am very excited to see what they have managed to plan for today's event. And the only real information we get for location is it's near a royal spa, so he has managed to keep it a fairly good secret of where we are going to be. But this is going to be a very interesting event, starting the series taking place over 4 weeks with 2 events a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But let's just jump straight into this first event now of the series, going into the TORUS Season 3 Spring 2021, and we're into day 1, which today is a 1 to 4,000 map on the Icebrom 2019 spec with 2 metre contours. There will be 8 stations with a 30-second penalty for every wrong answer, and there is a zero tolerance of 3 metres. We are also in park and sandstone terrain today, so it could be quite interesting. A lot of contours and vegetation used maybe, with the black cross being play equipment and green crosses being dead trees bigger than 4 metres in height. So there may be some dead trees in the photos, but if they're not bigger than 4 metres they won't be mapped. We also have the information that kites have been added to the photo, so they're not real kites, they've been superimposed, but they are going to be at the correct sizes. And also there are red arrows which indicate kites that are very difficult to see. So I don't think any of that is too irregular. The main things to remember are the black cross and the green cross. As always, my answers will be appearing in the top right hand corner of the screen, so you can see exactly what I'm putting, correct or wrong, with the black and red letters respectively at the moment that I do. And yeah, with that, let's have a go at the first round of TORUS Season 3. And here is Station 1. Okay, that's going to be the play equipment. I can see all 6 kites with the 3 trees. Play equipment between trees, so that's going to be that one, and that looks like Echo out there. That's definitely a 0. That tree on its own, it's got to be Delta. That tree right here I believe is Alpha, and out the back it's the wrong side. So that was quite a nice Station 1 actually. I did like that, with the 2 zeros being out on the paved area, with it being on the wrong fence and then the wrong end of the other fence. I think I was a bit slow, but I think I'm just getting into it a bit. And yeah, the line of the black crosses and trees which had Alpha, Bravo, Charlie and Foxtrot on, I think was very helpful there. Yeah, I don't think there was too much wrong with that station, but some very good tasks to open in on, and so we will just move on straight away to Station 2. Okay, there's the building with the 2 bits of canopy. That's going to be it with 4 trees. There's a few more trees there actually. Canopy, I think that's the wrong side, but Bravo's on that tree. I can believe Echo's there though. Alpha's on that tree, and that is the wrong tree. And that was another very good station. I think the 2 zeros there with the first and the last task were good, especially the second one actually, because I'd originally noticed that there was 1 tree by Bravo. However, I'd noticed there were 2 trees on the map, so one was definitely being hidden by the tree right in front of us, and that was going to be the one to the right, because there weren't any trees to the left of the Bravo tree. And so when we went to Bravo to start with, I was happy with that one as Bravo, but we returned to the tree on the right with the 5th task, and I'm pretty sure that was a trick to try and make you put Bravo again, thinking you were wrong for the 2nd task. But I'm happy with that being a 0, and I'm pretty happy with the first one being a 0 as well, being the wrong side of the canopy. And so with me being fine with that one, we will now move straight on to Station 3. Okay, there's the rocks. There's 3 crags or rocks potentially with the channels running through them. Okay, well, there's a road there, and if we are orientated correctly, I can't believe we are quite there unless with that one. I think I'm zeroing that. Okay, we are there. That makes a lot more sense. But that one is still a 0, I reckon. Re-entrant, that part I believe is Echo. That rocky patch will be Delta. And the re-entrant just there is Charlie. And that was definitely a much harder third station, but I do think it was mainly with that first task trying to identify where we actually were, with us being on the wrong side of the road. I immediately was thinking it was a 0 because the road looked too close to us on the left hand side of the photo than where it was on the map, but I hadn't quite placed exactly where we were, so I was thinking about it for a small bit, but eventually I was happy with that one being a 0. And then everything else seemed to fit with the 0 of the re-entrant. There was obviously a null over by the re-entrant with Delta in, or Echo in possibly actually, which we came to for the third task or the fourth task, I can't quite remember which order. And yeah, everything else seemed to fit with that, and so I'm happy with that one, and we will just go straight on again to station 4. Okay, there's a load of rocks. There's a fencing out by Alpha. That's going to be the decision point here, I think. That looks like the fencing with the crag, so that's going to be the Alpha crag. That's a null with a boulder, and so the crag next to it is going to be Echo, with the boulder right in front of us being Foxtrot. That boulder behind the small boulder, yeah, there's definitely a break there. That crag looks like it's Alpha, and I'm happy with that boulder being Bravo. And I do believe that was a no-0 station, so I'm doubting it slightly because it was quite a tough terrain, but I think because it's a tough terrain I don't mind the fact it was no zeros. Spotting the fence around the massive boulder near Alpha helped me to work down there, and I was able to place the crag of Alpha and then continued down with the null and the few boulders, and everything did seem to fit. There was quite a nice trick with the Bravo and Charlie boulders looking like they were potentially one boulder, but when we zoomed in you could definitely see there was a gap between them and they were two separate boulders. So I did like that station a lot. I thought it was very good, but we do just pass the halfway point now and we will move on to station 5. Okay, it's car park with the two things coming out of it, the two islands with Delta. That will be Bravo. First island is Delta, that is behind us, that is the shipping container of Foxtrot, and that's the wrong leg. And I did like that station. I thought it was a very good station, and I do believe I have got it all right. Even the one that went behind us, I just went with it, but Bravo and Delta seemed to fit very well for the first two tasks. And I don't really have much to say about that one. We will have to look at it afterwards, because if you haven't paused the video, you may not have had enough time on it. But yeah, I think that's possibly going to be my best station of the day, but I don't think we need to say anything more on that as we move on to station 6. Okay, there's the rocks. Alpha's right down there. There's quite a few rocky features there, but there's a bush. So that is going to be the bush with the crag that fits. But there is a tree there. So I think that one is Delta. But is that going to be Alpha? You know what, I can actually believe that's Alpha. Yeah, I can believe that's Alpha. Hill, northwestern part is going to be that part. That could be Foxtrot, that does seem to fit quite nicely, I'm going with that. Spur does also fit as Echo, and that hill there, I'm going to have to say that's a 0. And that is definitely my longest station of the day. I think that was possibly the hardest station, trying to place the vegetation really, which was the first task, and then everything fitted from there. And I don't think there really was a 0 up to the last task. The Alpha one was very interesting, but using the path on the other side of the road definitely helped me to place that Alpha was in the right position there, although I was quite doubtful to start with. But that was a good station, especially with the change of pace, as I think station 4 was quite slow, but station 5 was really quick, and then this one is my slowest station possibly. But I do like that. I think it's good to have a change of pace in parts, it keeps you on your toes. But we will now move on to the penultimate station of the day, which is station 7. Okay, trees in a line. There's two small trees potentially with the fence. Okay, that's the two small trees. That's not at the point in the fence, but Bravo is on that tree I think, and Charlie's going to be on that tree. That tree's behind us, and the middle tree, I think that's again the wrong tree. I'm pretty certain that was centered on the smaller tree behind the delta tree, and so I'm happy with that one being a 0. I think there were 3 zeros in that station, with it being the wrong position on the fence, the tree behind us, and then the wrong tree of the 2 smaller ones. But I think that was quite an interesting station with the 2 lines of trees. There were a couple of pairs of trees which helped us pick out the correct places we were, and I think that first task being the wrong position on the fence was very clear as not being Echo, but I think that could have caught quite a few of you out. We will have to see afterwards, but we now move on to the final station of the day, which is station 8. Okay, there's just a load of boulders. It's the fence that's going to be the thing there with the paths. That's the paths. Crag up the top. Can I really believe that's going to be where Foxtrot is? I don't believe I can. Boulder. Oh, that's the 2 boulders that point alpha. Okay, that makes sense. So that one's Charlie. Foot of Crag. Okay, that one is Foxtrot. That is a 0. And Rock Pillar, I'm going to have to go with Delta. And that is the final station to bring us to the end of the event. I thought it was quite a tough final station. You can see it did take me 30 seconds to get the final task, because I was seeing 3 paths in the photo, and what I thought was 3 paths in the map was actually 2 paths and a crag, which we came to for the 3rd task, but I was able to place Alpha on the top of that eventually, I think. But let's go and have a look at the stations for today. And with Station 1, I think the key thing here was definitely spotting the play equipment, remembering that the play equipment is the black crosses, and it's 2 bits of play equipment between 3 trees, and one of them might be smaller here. So when we came to the photo, there is a line of trees here, and there are 3 trees in a line with a smaller one in the middle with 2 black crosses. So I can pretty much say that those are going to be these trees and crosses here. And then looking here, we want the eastern side of the middle black cross in the circle, so it's going to be to the west of the small tree, and that does seem to be exactly where Echo is on the eastern side of that play equipment. So I was happy to start with Echo, and then we go over to 2 fences either side of some paved area, and I think you can see the paved area just there with a fence on the right hand side and a fence on the left hand side. We want the one on the left hand side as we're looking at it, so it's going to be behind this tree over there, and definitely a 0, but that was definitely a good 0 to throw us for the 2nd task. And then we went to a tree, and it's going to be a tree that's being pointed at by the fence on the other end of the paved area, and by looking at the fence we come across, and the first tree we hit is going to be the Delta tree, and Delta is definitely on the eastern side of that tree, so I was happy with that one being Delta. And then coming forward, we want the tree to the left of this line of 3 trees and 2 black crosses, and that one is definitely Alpha on the northern side of that tree. And then finally we do go out to the paved area again. We're going next to the fence on the right hand side this time, but we want the northeastern inside corner of the paved area, and by knowing north is this way, you could easily go northeastern. That is in the northeastern corner, it is Charlie. However, if you look at the centre of the circle especially, we want the corner back here, which is actually in the southwest, because this is actually the northwest, but in saying it's the southwest inside corner, it is actually in the northeastern corner because of how it's shaped, and so it's definitely going to be a 0 as I want it the other end of that fence. And that was a good first station to bring us in on. It was an average station for me, but I was still trying to get back into the zone of racing, and yeah, I don't think I did too bad on that one at all. But moving on to station 2 then, I thought this was another interesting station, but the key thing here for me was there is a massive building with a fence running around there, and that is exactly what we get here with a massive building, 2 canopies as well I noticed in there, so we know it's definitely the right building, and there's a fence coming around here with Foxtrot on the tree just there. And in looking here, we want the first canopy we reach going down the building, and we want the eastern part of it. And if you look out there, Delta is definitely in the canopy, but it's on the wrong end of it. If you look at it, the cane ends at the western end of it, and we actually want it on the eastern end of it, so it's definitely 3 meters away from the actual location, being the wrong end of the canopy, and that one is definitely a 0. That is a good problem. I do like that problem. And then coming out here, we want the northeastern tree in the circle, and we want the eastern side of it. And really, we're coming from the path, which is the path running through here, so alpha's the wrong side of it. The first tree we reach as we come to this side of it, or the closer side to us, is going to be this tree here, but it's going to be in a set of 2 trees. So where is the other tree going to be? Well, there's definitely no trees to the left hand side, so we can already say that Bravo's on the left hand tree, and it is Bravo. But just for clarification, on the right hand side you can just see a couple of twigs coming out of a tree hiding behind this front tree, and so this one is definitely going to be Bravo, as it is on the left hand tree of the pair of 2. But I do really like that problem, and we will come back to it afterwards actually, as there's another more interesting problem later in the station. But we then go out to the other canopy on the building, and we want the western part of that canopy, and if you look through, I'm pretty sure that Echo's going to be there, as if it was on the eastern part of that canopy we wouldn't be able to see it, so I'm happy with that being Echo. And then we want the southern of the 2 trees the other side of the path, and this is obviously the smaller one and the bigger one's there, and in terms of the 2, the smaller one is more northern and the bigger one's more southern, and so Alpha's definitely on the eastern side of the southern tree. I'm happy with that one being Alpha. And then we actually come back to the pair of 2 trees that we said Bravo was on the left hand one before, and we want the right hand one, so it's definitely the tree hiding behind the tree right in front of us, and is definitely a 0. But I do think quite a lot of you might have gone with Bravo there, as you thought maybe you were wrong for 22, as we returned to a similar problem for 25. But well done if you did manage to spot that one was a 0. I think that was a cruel but very fair trick to bring us in on for station 2. And with station 3 we slowed up a bit as the terrain changed quite a bit, and we came to this sandstony area. And to start with, we wanted a spur. To be honest, I think this was quite an interesting parallel feature to bring us in on, as I was looking at it and I saw this bit coming down here with the corner, and this could be this curve with Bravo being on the sort of corner of that curve. That does seem to fit quite well. And then we go through and we have a couple of crags. So some of you might have been thinking this one is the right location. However, if it is, which kite are you going to put? Because we want the eastern part of a spur, and that's going to be this spur here. And if you look up, and we've said that this re-entrant shape sort of fits this channel here, the spur that we should be going for is this one here. And so there is definitely no kite on it, and I think you could have zeroed it thinking we were in the right place. There's just nothing on top of the spur. However, the actual place we are is the other side of the road, as I did spot the road is running there, and so if we are stood here, where is the road? And we are going to actually be here with Echo in this re-entrant, the crags and the bare rock faces being this bit here, and Foxtrot on the crag out the back. And so I was happy with that one being a 0, because it's all the way out to the photo to the left hand side. But I do think even if you didn't quite know exactly where we were, you could have easily gone 0 if you believed we were in this place and you wanted it on top of there. But that was a good task. And then we did move to the right place for the second task, and we do want a re-entrant, and I can believe that quite a few of you might have put Echo here because Echo is in a re-entrant. However, really this whole area is going to have to be the area we can see, as if Echo is in this re-entrant we'd be able to see a path just in front of us, which we can't see. And so we actually want a re-entrance that's going to be down from the Foxtrot cliff. It will be about there, and so this one is definitely a 0. So well done if you did manage to spot that. And then we do actually come to the re-entrant of Echo for the third task, with it being the eastern part of that re-entrant. I think that is good as Echo. And then we go up to the rock face with the crags, and it is a bare rock we are going for, and really the only one on bare rock is going to be Delta by the looks of things. Foxtrot could be, but the bare rock is shaped the other direction, and looking out there it's only really going to be Delta. Delta does look in about the right place. You can see that the crag just does fall away a bit, and I think Delta's very nicely placed in the middle of that bare rock, so I'm happy with that one being Delta. And then to finish off we get a re-entrant, and this did puzzle me for a slight second, but I think I was happy with it being Charlie, as looking at the shapes of the crags you can see that that crag goes round to the left hand side and then come back to where Delta was for the previous task, and actually you can see the contour go in, so there's definitely a re-entrant there, and you can sort of see the shape of the rock go in a bit there. So that one is definitely Charlie to finish off the station. I do think this was definitely a harder station than the previous 2 stations, but I thought it was quite a nice change of pace to bring us in. I do like the fact that the Sandstone and Park stations were spread out between each other, and I do think that was quite a nice station for station 3, so well done if you did manage to get that right. And then coming to station 4, I have put no zeros here, but I do think that is probably correct. The first thing I spotted here was the fence around the massive boulder, and the only place that can be on the map is the fence with the rock pillar within it, and so this is definitely the anchor point to use. Now once we've got that, we can say that Alpha is going to be on the crag just in front of the fence with a boulder to the left hand side. I believe it's that boulder. And then we have a knoll coming through here with all the thick vegetation on top of it, and then a boulder to the right hand side of it which does have Bravo on it and potentially Charlie as well. And then we have a crag, which is the crag that we're going for, next to the boulder of Bravo, and that does seem to be where Echo is, with Delta on the boulder in front of it, which is that boulder there, and Foxtrot on the massive boulder in front of that. So in saying so, we want crag, we want the foot of the crag, because nothing else is said, and so that is definitely going to be Echo there. I thought it was a nice problem to bring us in on, and it did help me work out all the rest of the locations. So I did then come straight to Foxtrot for the second task. As we've said, we go crag, small boulder with Delta, massive boulder with Foxtrot, and it's definitely on the northeastern side of that boulder, so I'm very happy with that one being Foxtrot. And then the one I had to think about a bit more was the middle small boulder, and looking at the centre of the circle is going to be just behind the Echo crag from task 1, and it's going to be just behind the Bravo boulder. Now originally I did say that Charlie was potentially on the Bravo boulder as well, but you can see in the zoom there is definitely a break in the rock, and so I believe there are two boulders, one behind the other here, with Bravo on the front one and Charlie on the one behind, and that does seem to be just behind the Echo crag as well, so I'm very happy with that one being Charlie on the northwestern side of that boulder. That one was very good. And then we go out to the crag which we identified straight away as being the one right in front of the fence with the rock pillar, so I'm very happy with that one being Alpha. And then we come out to the massive boulder with Bravo on it next to the crag of Echo, and Bravo is definitely on the northwestern side of that boulder, and so to finish off, that one is definitely Bravo, and I do think that was actually a no zero station. I think that was a very good no zero station though. It was very challenging, and you definitely could have zeroed the first couple, but I think that was another good station. And actually with that slower station, we then got thrown into station 5, and as soon as I saw this I thought I can go very quickly here, and it did definitely pay off. What I saw here was Alpha on the corner of some paved area on this patch of open land which sticks out. Charlie's on the front of 2 bits of paved area back there, Delta's on the front of 2 bits of grass back there, and then Echo and Foxtrot are very near the shipping container, which can only really be mapped as a building. And so when I saw the 2 buildings, 2 patches of open land with the 2 spikes coming out of the car park, and then I saw this patch of open land which I had put Bravo in, I was very happy to start off and say that one is Bravo on the eastern part of that open land. And I don't think I need to say any more on that. I think that was a clear task to start with. And then we go out to the front of the 2 patches of open land, and looking here there are 2 with Delta on the front of it, so that one is definitely Delta on the northeastern inside corner of that patch of open land. And then to number 3, we then go behind the area which we had placed with Bravo on, and so this is definitely going to be behind us or out to the left hand side of the photo, and is definitely a 0, but that was quite a nice trick which might have caught you off guard, possibly making you put Charlie. And then we go out to the shipping container, or the building as it says in the control description, and we want the southern outside corner of it, and really with north going upwards, Echo's on the northern end, Foxtrot's on the southern end, so that one is definitely going to be Foxtrot there. And then finally we go out to the patches of paved area, and there's 2 that stick out. We want the furthest away from us, and looking out there, Charlie is definitely on the closest one to us, so it's not going to be Charlie, it is a 0 on the one behind it. And that was a very nice station to have as station 5. It sped us up. If you were still thinking slowly from stations 3 and 4, you would have spent a bit more time on it, but I think you could go very quickly, and I do think that was a very nice station. And then we were actually thrown quite a bit as we moved into station 6, which was a much slower station for me, especially with the first 3 tasks actually taking up a lot of time. And really here I was just trying to place exactly where this patch of vegetation could be with the tree, because I saw a few patches of green around and was trying to work out exactly which one it could be. But what I have seen now is there is a massive tree coming out behind Bravo, and really the only place this could be on the map with the canopy as well is going to be this massive distinctive tree with the white area being its canopy. So in placing that, we're coming forward and to the right within the photo, and if you do that, we get a small bit of green there going round the crag, and then we get a smaller distinctive tree as the tree we want. And really, where else is it going to be other than this thicket with the small tree in front of it? It's definitely smaller than that tree back there, and so we want a kite on that tree, and you can see Delta is there, and it's definitely going to be the southwestern side of that tree, therefore putting that one as Delta. I do think that was quite a hard task to start with though, and so if you did manage to place that, very well done. But I think what was an even crueler task was this Alpha, but I do think I have got it right. The key thing here which I spotted, it is clear here that Alpha is definitely on the eastern edge of some open land with sand. However, However, the key thing to distinguish it from this corner here, as I think that's really the only other option, is the path running down through the woods and then comes out into the open land, and you can see that running down here. Now if Alpha is going to be on this edge here, it's going to be after where the path joins the road, but you can see that the path joins the road about there, the other side of that car, and so for Alpha to be on this one, it has to be a long way out the photo, so it's definitely not going to be that one there. The only other place Alpha can be is in the centre of the circle, and so I am very happy to say that this one is Alpha. If you do look very, very closely, you can see a small little bend in it, which does seem to be this small sort of bend here where Alpha is. I know it's quite hard to see, and definitely at race pace I wasn't spotting it at all, but I think that does definitely iron out that it's Alpha rather than a 0 a lot clearer now. So I'm happy with that one being Alpha. And then we come back onto the rock face and we want a hill, and we want the northwestern part of that hill, and I was debating a bit between Foxtrot or 0. I was very happy to say that we were coming towards us and to the right again from Delta, and so it wasn't going to be Echo as it's too far forward. The only option was Foxtrot, and really looking at it, Foxtrot could be on the southwestern rather than the northwestern, but even then, saying that the northwestern is here, that's not 3 meters away. But also the part of the hill it's on also extends back out the photo where it leaves the bare rock and becomes the rough open land, and you can kind of see the grass there with it leaving the bare rock and becoming the rough open land, and so actually Foxtrot is on the northwestern part of that hill, and I'm very happy with that one being Foxtrot. That one didn't take me as long as the first two, but it still took me a while, so well done if you did manage to get that one. And then we go out to the spur with the bare rock right next to the tree of Delta, and so I think that one is clearly Echo, as that is really a spur of bare rock that Echo is on. And then the final one takes us out to a hill, and we want the western part of that hill, and I think quite a lot of you might have put Bravo here because it's really on the top of a hill, and also Charlie actually is on the top of a hill kind of, especially since we want the northeastern hill though. Bravo is more northeast than Charlie. However, I do actually think that Charlie is on the crag with Bravo being on this rock pillar. You can also see the rock pillar to the left hand side being this rock pillar here, and so we actually want the kite to be behind this all the way back there, almost in line with this tree as well. So I do think there is no kite there, it will be hiding behind the rock pillar and is a 0 to finish off the station. So there were some very difficult tasks in this station. I do think this is potentially going to be one of the hardest and where quite a few make some mistakes. We will have to see afterwards, but I think it was another very good station with some key clues to help us out. And then we come to another quick station with station 7, and I potentially could have done this a bit quicker, but I don't think my time is too bad. What we have here is 2 lines of trees, and I saw the pair of trees here. Potentially there could be a pair or there could be 1 tree, and there is also potentially a pair of smaller trees there with Delta and also a bigger tree next to it. So when I saw the pair of bigger trees here, I immediately said that Alpha was on that, and that also fitted with the 2 smaller trees at the edge of the circle with the bigger tree, and Delta is on the closer of the 2 smaller trees. And what we want here is a control on the fence, which is almost on a perpendicular line to the fence with the massive tree next to the 2 smaller ones. But if you look here, if you draw a perpendicular line up to the fence, you come to the fence about there, possibly behind this tree. Now Echo is the only kite on the fence, but it's definitely more than 3 meters left of where I've just said on the fence behind the tree, and so I think this one is clearly a 0 as it's too far west of the fence. But I do think that was quite an interesting task to bring us in on. I think when you saw this photo you thought you could potentially go quicker, and so you may just go for Echo straight away, not really thinking about it. So well done if you did manage to spot that was a 0. And then we go to the distinctive tree that is going to be further back than these 2 trees right together, and so with Alpha being on the set of 2 trees right next to each other, we go to the tree behind it, and that's definitely where Bravo is, on the eastern side of that tree. So I am happy to say that that one is Bravo there. And then we go across to the pair of 2 trees on the other line of trees opposite where Bravo is, and if you go across from Bravo there does seem to be 2 trees there, and we want the closest one to us, which is definitely where Charlie is, being on the eastern side of that tree as well. I was very happy to say that that one is Charlie. And then to finish off with 2 zeros, we go to another patch of 2 trees, but they are at a different orientation to the 2 trees of Alpha, and so knowing that Alpha is on these 2 trees with Foxtrot on this tree here, these 2 are definitely going to be behind us, and so that one is a 0. And then the most interesting one here is this task, as the tree we want in the centre of the circle is the backmost small tree. So there are 2 small trees here, and Delta is definitely on the front of the 2, and if you don't read the centre of the circle properly you could easily think that this one is Delta rather than 0, but I think this one definitely is a 0 as I'm almost certain it's centred on the tree behind it. it. So it's definitely back there and is definitely a 0, but I can see quite a lot of you putting Delta to finish the station. However, I do think that was definitely a good station to throw in now, as we just had a really tough station, and I think some of you were potentially going a bit slower, but I did really like that station. I thought it was good to then bring us into the final station of the day, which was another tough one, but like station 4, we had the fence with the rock pillar, and that was really what I'd anchored on as the fence with the rock pillar there. There were also a couple of paths coming out of it, and what I really sort of start with were 3 paths, and on the map there are 2 paths and a crag, which I originally saw as being another length of path, and so there could be 3 paths there, and we want the top of the terrace a long way away from all 3 of the paths, so I was debating this one as a 0 for a while. However, we will see in a couple of tasks time that what I thought was a tag for a path was actually a crag, and so there are only 2 paths mapped, and the third one comes through this boulder field. It's probably not big enough to be a mapped path, to be honest. Now the key thing here for me is there is a black triangle of another rock pillar, I believe it is, and that is going to be this massive one here with Delta on the front of it, and then what you get after that is 2 boulders, and I believe this is what Bravo and Charlie are on, and they point towards the terrace that we want, and really they're pointing towards this massive cliff face with Alpha on it. So that to me was the key deciding thing to tell me that it was Alpha rather than 0. It did take me 30 seconds to get there, but I think now we've worked out Delta, Charlie and Bravo, we can go a lot quicker for some of the other tasks, and that was definitely the case as we came to the second task, and we want the northwestern of the 2 boulders, and it's the eastern side of the northwestern boulder, and so it's definitely Charlie on the northeastern side of that boulder. So that one was good. And then moving to the third task, this was where I then realised that I was wrong about these being 3 paths, and that is actually a crag there, and we want the southeastern foot of that crag, and really we're going between the 2 paths, and the only bit of rock that we can see which could be a crag is here by Foxtrot, and it's definitely on the northeastern side of that, definitely at the foot of it, and so it's definitely Foxtrot. So now the map was definitely making a lot more sense to me. We came to the final 2 tasks, and for this one we wanted a terrace that is going to be further back in the photo from where Alpha was, but with Alpha being the only one on a terrace in the photo, it's definitely going to be a 0. The terrace that we want is at the top of this cliff face here. So that one was a good 0. I think if you'd zeroed the first task you would have definitely put Alpha for this one, but well done if you did manage to know that was a 0. And then finally we came to the rock pillar, and we have already said that Delta is on the rock pillar, and it's definitely on the eastern side, bringing us to answer the final task of the day as Delta. And I do think that was a very interesting station to finish off the day. All the stations today have been very good. I liked the change of pace really, with the first 2 stations being quick, the 3rd and 4th being slower, and then the 5th one being quick, the 6th being slow, the 7th one being quick, and the 8th being slow. I think that was very good planning from Tom. I did like all the tasks, all the 0s were clear, and there were some very interesting tricks which we haven't really seen before. So I do think this was a very successful event, and I don't think I have actually made any mistakes, so we are just going with our score of 247. Now we will have to see if that is the case afterwards, but for now let's go and have a look at my position in the leaderboard, and you will see that I am in 3rd, which I'm not too surprised about, with no mistakes and a fairly quick time, even though some stations were quicker than others. So I am happy with that one. We will have to see whether that holds and how far I drop if it doesn't, but you'll have to join me to see that afterwards for the overall results. And we are back to see that I've only actually dropped 1 place. We've gone from 3rd to 4th, as Christian Emberg came in about 4 hours after me, and we are definitely with no mistakes, so I am very happy with that. It does show that taking the time definitely helped today, as there only seem to be about 7 that I can see that have no mistakes. It is very well done to Andre though for winning today's event by 6 seconds, with Merritt just behind him and Christian 6 seconds behind her. However, if he hadn't have made the mistake he would have definitely won. In terms of where Andre won the event though, I think it was probably in station 6, where most of the people in the top 20 made their mistakes, and he was also 7 seconds quicker than Merritt there, so I think he has done a very good job in winning today's event. Now this is the point where I would normally go through all the percentages from the task for today. However, I do think that was potentially making these videos a bit long, and I don't want to be able to get these out as quick as I can to you, so instead I'm going to shorten it and instead show you the thing that I thought was most interesting with the percentages today, and that was station 6, which contains really the only percentage today below 50%, with 33%, with 258 going with a 0 and 157 going with Foxtrot, and also a few for Bravo and Charlie. Now afterwards I was looking at this after I recorded the first part of the video and thought it might actually be 0 rather than Foxtrot, but it has turned out it was Foxtrot. This was a very hard task though, in the hardest station of the day, so if you did get that right, well done, but I do also have to say, with that being really the only percentage below 50% today, all the rest were very consistently in the 70% and above, so I do think you have done a very good job today collectively. I think especially some of these rockier stations were very hard, and so keeping the percentages high was very tough to do, so well done for doing that. But that definitely shows that this station was the hardest. And also, to help cut down with the time on these videos, I'm not actually going to look back at the harder tasks for today, as I think you can just look back at that from the first part of the video where I explain it all. So instead I would go back and show you the mistakes that I had made during the event so I can correct them in this second part. However, today I haven't made any mistakes, so we don't actually have to go back. So we will now go straight to look at the leaderboard for the series so far after one event, and we don't really have to look at the A class at all because it's going to be exactly the same as the leaderboard, as we've only had one event with Andre in first. But the club series, we are in exactly the same position we normally are at this point, with Massey in first place, almost 10 points already ahead of OLV Landshut in second place, who are only 0.5 points ahead of MDOC in third. So already it's very close for second, with Linkoping OK also only being 0.4 points behind MDOC. It is very, very close for second and third already, with just one event down. And remember, it is your best 5 of 8 scores, so if any teams haven't had a great day today, there's still a lot of time to make up for it. But at the moment, Massey are very much in the lead as it stands. And then for the countries, again, it's not really a surprise that we have the Italians 6 or 7 points ahead of the Swedes. This again is very common, and I'm not really surprised by that. And then 4 points behind the Swedes we have the Finns, and then actually exactly 7 points behind the Finns we have the Germans. So really that does bring us to the end of event 1 in the A class. It was definitely a great event to start us off. I do want to thank Tom and Ian for putting that together, and hopefully this sort of standard of event continues throughout the month. But for now, that is the end of today's video. Thank you again for watching. If you'd like to like the video as always, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, making sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button and select all so you get a notification whenever I release a video and you don't miss a thing on this channel. And also remember to be sharing these videos. Combined with the 2 leaderboards, we had about 800 people compete in today's event, but I reckon we can definitely get that to 1,000 by the end of the month. So do make sure you're sharing the simulator and these videos with all your orienteering friends to make sure they have the same fun that we have competing in these events. And also remember, as always, to be commenting down below any extra analysis that you think should have been in this video, and also any extra little bits you think I could add to this video. I know I've cut some out, made them shorter, but I've still tried to keep your ideas in there. So yeah, keep the comments coming, and I will join you again in a couple of days time for the second round of TORUS Cup number 3.